There comes a moment in your life when you realize you've been carrying the weight of everyone else's expectations on your back. You've been bending, shrinking, overthinking, replaying conversations in your head. And for what? For people who don't even notice how hard you're trying. For people who don't give even half the effort you give without thinking. And you're tired. Tired in a way that sleep can't fix. A kind of tired that comes from caring too much for too long. If this feels a little too familiar, then this message is for you. Because you're not broken. You're not too sensitive. You're not dramatic. You've simply been carrying a responsibility that was never meant to be yours. And today, we're going to talk about what happens when you finally put it down. Because there's a silent destroyer that lives in so many of us. And most people don't even realize it's running their entire life. It's the habit of caring too much about what other people think. It's subtle. It's quiet. It hides itself as being nice, or being supportive, or keeping the peace. But underneath it, it drains you. It steals your confidence. It pulls you away from your purpose. And worst of all, it convinces you that your worth depends on how well you perform for others. But there comes a point when you can't keep sacrificing your peace to be liked. You can't keep abandoning yourself just to avoid disappointing someone. There comes a point when you realize you have a life to live. Your life, and you can't live it while trying to satisfy everyone else. So today, we're breaking this down. 10 truths, 10 shifts that pull you out of people-pleasing and back into your own power. Not by becoming cold or unkind, but by becoming whole. Point 1. The universal truth about people-pleasing. Here's the first hard truth. Most people aren't thinking about you as much as you think they are. But when you care too much, your mind turns into a constant replay machine. You rehearse conversations you already had. You wonder if you said the wrong thing. You worry about whether someone is disappointed, annoyed, or silently judging you. And the truth is, the people who genuinely care about you, they don't measure you by one awkward moment or one imperfect sentence. They see your heart. They feel your intention. They stay. It's the ones who only like the version of you that served them, the version that always said yes, that always agreed, that never pushed back. Those are the ones who fall away when you finally start choosing yourself. And as painful as that feels in the moment, it's actually a blessing. Because life will always remove the people who can't survive your growth. The wisdom in this is simple. Real connections don't require you to shrink. Fake ones do. When you stop trying to please everyone, you finally give the right people a chance to find you. Point 2, boundaries in helping others. There's a difference between helping someone and carrying them. Between supporting someone and saving them. And for a lot of people who care too much, that line gets blurry fast. You pick up responsibilities that aren't yours. You try to fix emotions you didn't cause. You feel guilty for saying no, for stepping back, or even for needing rest. Somewhere along the way, being there for people turned into being responsible for their happiness. But here's the truth you need to hear gently. You are not responsible for other people's choices, reactions, patterns, or consequences. You can offer guidance, but you can't walk the path for them. You can care, but you can't live their life for them. You can love, but you can't lose yourself in the process. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let someone sit with the results of their own decisions. Not out of punishment, but out of respect for both of your growth. Because every time you rescue someone from the consequences of their own behavior, you teach them that you will always absorb the impact. And you teach yourself that your needs come second. Boundaries aren't walls, they're clarity. They protect your energy from being drained, and they protect your relationships from becoming imbalanced. And the moment you understand that, you stop giving from exhaustion and start giving from overflow. Point 3. The impact on personal focus. When you care too much about what others think, your entire attention shifts outward, away from your goals, your growth, your peace, and toward their reactions, their opinions, their expectations. You start checking your phone more than you check in with yourself. You obsess over messages, over likes, over silence. You replay what you said, how you said it, and what someone might have meant. Your mind becomes a stage where everyone else's voice is louder than your own. And here's the part that stings a little. The people you're so worried about impressing are often dealing with insecurities they project onto you. The criticism you feel, half of it is their own fear speaking. The judgment you sense, Most of it comes from people who aren't brave enough to live honestly themselves. Meanwhile, every moment you spend worrying about someone else's opinion is a moment you aren't building the life you actually want. A moment you aren't creating, learning, resting, growing. A moment you're giving away for free to someone who may not even be thinking about you. But something powerful happens the day you stop asking, what will they think, and start asking, what do I want to do with my time, my energy, my life? You begin to reclaim your focus. You begin to feel yourself again. And you realize how much of your potential was never the problem, your attention was. The moment you stop caring about their noise, your path becomes clearer, and so do you. Point 4, energy management. Your energy is one of the most valuable things you have, but when you care too much about pleasing others, you spend it like it's limitless, handing it out to anyone who asks, anyone who hints, anyone who expects. But not everyone deserves access to you. There are people who only reach for you when they need something. Your attention, your validation, your emotional labor. They drain you with their chaos, their drama, their constant crises, yet disappear the moment you need support. There are people who take your kindness as permission to overstep. People who confuse your patience with availability. People who expect you to hold their burdens but never once ask if you're tired. And then there are the genuine ones, the people who pour back into you. The ones who show up, who listen, who care when there's nothing to gain. With them, your energy doesn't drain, it multiplies. The difference between the two becomes obvious the moment you start paying attention to how you feel after being around someone, lighter or heavier, seen or used, respected or drained. Your energy is sacred, and protecting it isn't selfish, it's survival. When you learn to guard your energy, you stop chasing people who don't value you. You stop overgiving out of fear. You stop letting everyone have a say in your life. You begin to invest in places that grow you, nourish you, and align with who you're becoming. And suddenly, without changing anything dramatic, your life becomes calmer, clearer, and more yours. Point 5, fear versus authenticity. People pleasing isn't really about kindness. It's about fear. Fear of disappointing someone. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of losing people you care about. Fear of being seen as too much, too quiet, too emotional, too honest. So you soften your truth. You shrink your needs. You edit yourself over and over, hoping that if you can just be agreeable enough, quiet enough, easy enough, you'll be accepted. But here's the thing most people never tell you. When you live in fear, you lose your authenticity. And when you lose your authenticity, you lose yourself. Ask yourself gently, how much of who you are today is really you? And how much is a performance for other people? How often do you say it's fine when it's not? How often do you hold back what you truly feel just to avoid conflict? How often do you stay silent when your heart is begging you to speak? Here's a mindset shift that changes everything. If someone can only tolerate the watered down version of you, they were never meant for the real you. Losing people isn't always a loss. Sometimes it's a clearing. Sometimes it's a necessary shift to make space for those who actually value your honesty, your depth, your boundaries, your humanity. Because authenticity isn't loud. It isn't dramatic. It's simply allowing yourself to exist without apology. When you stop living from fear and start living from truth, the right people stay, the wrong people fade, and you finally get to breathe. Point 6, peace and boundaries. True peace doesn't come from making everyone happy. It doesn't come from constant approval or endless sacrifice. It comes from knowing where you end and where others begin. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your choices, approval of their opinions, rescue from their consequences, your energy at the expense of your sanity. Protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. Silence, distance, saying no, these aren't signs of weakness, they're tools of preservation. Imagine for a moment how light life feels when you stop arguing with every expectation, every judgment, every imagined disappointment. When you allow yourself to say, I will honor my boundaries first. The world doesn't crumble. Relationships don't always break. People who matter will respect your limits. And those who don't, they no longer have the power to drain you. Peace begins when you claim it. Not by negotiating endlessly for everyone else's comfort, but by giving yourself permission to breathe, to rest, and to live on your own terms. It's simple, but it's revolutionary. Point 7, spiritual higher perspective. Oldies. Sometimes even when you set boundaries and care less about approval, you feel unseen, unheard, alone in your struggle. But there's a higher perspective quietly observing, a part of life or the universe or God, whatever feels right to you, that knows exactly what you're going through. Rejection, criticism, being overlooked, these aren't punishments, they're guidance, redirection, a way of steering you toward people, places, and experiences that truly belong in your life. When someone leaves your life, it's not always about you. It's often protection. It's space being made for something greater. And when you shift your focus from who left to what's coming, you step out of reaction and into anticipation. You stop shrinking to fit the expectations of those who don't understand your journey, and you start trusting the flow of your own path. Because the higher perspective reminds you, you are never truly alone, and every moment of discomfort is simply a signal that something better is waiting. Point 8, redefining strength. Caring less about what others think doesn't mean you stop loving. It doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent. Strength isn't measured by how much you endure for others. It's measured by how well you protect yourself while still showing up authentically. True strength looks like this: speaking your truth even when it's uncomfortable, saying no without guilt, choosing yourself without apology, letting go of relationships that drain you. Strength is selective, not indiscriminate. It's about putting your energy where it matters and recognizing that less caring about some people creates space for deeper, more meaningful connections with the right ones. You don't have to try to impress everyone. You don't have to shrink for anyone's comfort. You don't have to apologize for valuing yourself. The strongest people aren't always the loudest. They're the ones who quietly set their boundaries, honor their worth, and allow only what aligns with their soul to stay in their life. When you redefine strength this way, you stop chasing approval and start attracting respect, love, and authenticity. Point 9, permission to leave. Here's a truth most people hesitate to say out loud. You have permission to walk away from toxic friendships, from relationships that constantly demand more than you can give, from jobs, habits, or environments that drain your soul, from situations where your presence is taken for granted. Leaving doesn't make you heartless. It doesn't make you selfish. It makes you human. It makes you someone who values their well-being, energy, and growth. And yes, there may be guilt. There may be second guessing. You may feel like you're failing someone else by choosing yourself. But here's the reframing. Self-care isn't selfish. Walking away from what no longer serves you isn't cruelty, it's healing. It's a necessary act to preserve your peace, your purpose, and your ability to show up fully where it matters. Every time you step away from what diminishes you, you make space for what elevates you. You reclaim your time, your energy, and your clarity. And the most powerful part, walking away often teaches others how to treat you in the future, setting the tone for the respect and care you truly deserve. Point 10, self-respect as foundation. Everything we've talked about, boundaries, caring less, walking away, it all comes back to one thing: self-respect. Self-respect is the foundation that transforms your life. It's what allows you to say no without guilt, to protect your energy without shame, and to honor your worth without apology. When you respect yourself, the way others treat you naturally changes. People respond to the energy you carry. When you value yourself, others instinctively recognize that value. And here's the most beautiful part. Your worth is not determined by others' approval. It is intrinsic, unshakable, and independent of anyone else's opinion. Self-respect doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. It gives you freedom. It allows you to connect deeply, love fully, and live authentically. When you choose self-respect, you step into your life with confidence, clarity, and courage. And from that place, the life you've always wanted begins to unfold naturally. Here are my last few thoughts. You've cared enough, you've tried enough, you've bent over backward, replayed every conversation, and carried more than was ever yours to carry. Now it's time to release. Release the need for everyone's approval, guilt for saying no, the fear of disappointing others, the responsibility for choices that aren't yours. Allow yourself to step back, to breathe, to claim your space, and to honor the life that belongs to you. One day, you'll look back and realize that these boundaries weren't walls, they were doorways. Doorways to peace, clarity, and a life lived on your own terms. Can I ask you to do something right now? Make yourself a promise today. I will honor my boundaries and my energy. I will care deeply about what aligns with my growth, not what diminishes it. I will choose self-respect over approval every time. This is now your promise. Do not break it. Your focus is not on everyone else, it's on yourself. And that is where true freedom begins. If this message resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Comment below, I choose myself today, if you're ready to step into your own power. Remember, caring less about the wrong things doesn't make you unkind, it makes you strong. And the strongest people are the ones who value themselves first. Subscribe, stay connected, and keep walking the clear path forward. You deserve it.